So the Horsey 100 is a bike ride. That
Just
goes
to let
on
you know,
every
we're
year out
going live, so you can still have a conversation. Just
Mind
don't-
our
yeah,
manners?
mind your
Is that what you're
manners.
trying to say?
So I'm
Just-
talking about my
Because
vacation.
you're going to stream this live, so anything you don't want
Don't tell me
anyone
where
else to
you're
hear, don't
going.
say it.
No addresses.
Just letting you know.
So yes.
Mics are on.
Thank you for that.
Just as we're streaming.
Yeah. So we do that a lot. We don't do that.
Digital. I always do try to do digital. Or a channel.
So what made you,
Just
so,
say,
because you were going to the workshop?
Walking up there.
Lives in Hawaii, so I got to see her, but she has So, we went to
Thank you for doing
this
this. Usually I do it,
dressage.
but
Sky. It was absolutely gorgeous. So we did jumpers.
he's early though. He's not like the day.
So we had like a VIP
Okay.
table.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And he's in charge of what?
Environmental services.
Environmental services.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a really good time. And then there was you. And then
So did you go up doing, did you do Okay, because you have your, the whole outfit, so that's
Small.
nice.
That's all right. I brought out your umbrella.
we can have a look or something.
Yeah, we can share it.
We are.
Oh, really, sir? Yeah.
Someone's going to come
Hopefully
with
they're
my
telling the
vehicle.
truth. That's why I'm interested. Always.
All of my stuff's in the vehicle.
Because we want to get this fixed. Well, they're food and wine pockets.
So good to see you. Look at all sorts of things.
Yeah, I know. I have my suit coat in my I thought no, that's it.
And actually,
It's been a while. What's going on?
Good thing you've met you. Come on, you stop and for a cup of coffee or something.
I haven't seen you, I mean, since your story.
Yeah, it's been person.
This person from Clark.
What kind of laptop?
seems like it's all of a sudden not a big deal that residents weren't notified, especially the way the creek is. There's lots of kids in the family that swim in the creek.
Okay, so he'll send it to you.
So multiple signs put up, we do it at Mommy Day. You know, all that stuff needs to be addressed.
Just let you know we are streaming this, and we're streaming right now, so the mic is on. So if there's anything you don't want anyone else to hear, don't say it.
I'm good, how are you? Good morning.
Good to see you. Hi.
I know, I have my jacket. I was like, oh, I don't know if it's kind of chilly.
Yellow.
I won't melt. I promise.
Yeah.
But ours doesn't have fancy.
I'm going to get it.
Hopefully, that's on Saturday. Broke out my tennis shoes for the grass instead of my heels. I didn't want to be sinking in the whole time.
Those are nice.
Really?
You'd never know.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then it's too wet to walk. Too wet for someone.
Yeah.
Someone. Where do you get those?
And you see the green
Okay.
What'd she say? What'd she say?
Shoot some video. Stream out, shoot some video on my phone.
Time's not down. I'm there
No, Doug is right there.
Oh, Doug is there. Oh, there's so he came in, he like waved by. He was driving
Standing
in.
in the tent. The rest of us. I'll be right here.
Oh, yes.
Do you want to clamp onto my mic stand, Kev?
But that was just intern. We do additional extra.
You got yours, right?
Yeah, I charged my mic.
And we made it in that press release too.
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you rather? She said, wouldn't you rather be in the meeting as well?
Morning, morning. How we doing?
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
So,
Hi, nice to meet you. Just need some more space. What,
Make it work.
Okay.
I was going to tell you this is so I don't know if I said do my good run or my bad run, but the second time, I think it was either the second run or the first one.
Good morning.
I don't think we had one first. I was having some on.
My last run was like unbelievably good. I was able to push it 3 hours or something.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. Yeah. It's been a while. I'm old.
I think
No,
in my last one,
yeah. And we need to connect something.
you know, they changed this.
I know.
Come together and see what can we.
Well, anyway, they gotta get that show up. But
I've been here back in
my,
20.
my last one,
It's,
I
yeah,
don't know if that was the one.
we need to.
Yeah, I was like, that came out of nowhere.
Well,
In my nowhere. But it's like, it takes me back to it.
Yeah, because we were,
absolutely, yeah.
our team was,
Yeah,
I just got to do that. I'm trying to. Way too bad. But my gym workouts are really good, but I'm just not. So, look at going through your test. 50 miles a year. 47,
Up a little bit. Mine seems to have
So do you know how we ever did that?
not in love
Or
with
do you have any idea my son was all right?
A couple of months ago we tried.
Well, I mean before the break.
try it. Yeah, I'm a
But we did 45, 57, 50, but we also did it. So we did that every year. That's okay. There's always the option to just not.
up there.
Well, Cream, how are you?
Oh, he's over here. I was going to say
Not necessarily an event I want to remember. So, I don't know if it's fast.
Are you for 13 ready?
Everyone good?
I'm good.
Good? Good? All right.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for coming. My name is Doug Stevens. I'm Director for the Department of Public Utilities. We're here today to talk about an issue that has been coming to our attention and every other's attention. Odor issue. I think we can smell it here. You know, there's an odor in this neighborhood around Delaware Creek. We've been investigating that odor, and what we found was an additional sanitary sewer overflow in this vicinity that's discharging into the creek. So, as you guys all know, Arlington has been collapsed for several months. For several months, Arlington's 48-inch sewer was collapsed partially. We were able to get some flow through the sewer. You weren't seeing backups. You weren't really smelling any odor. About May 25th, the pipe fully collapsed. So now we're no longer getting flow through that pipe. Our department, our Division of Sewers and Drainage Services, they have come out and they have put in a 6-inch and a 4-inch pump in location, trying to help bypass the flow. But you know, we can't bypass the flow of a 48-inch sewer with a 6 or even multiple 6-inch pumps. It's well beyond our capacity. So it's providing some relief, but again, you're getting sewer backups that are flowing into Delaware Creek that are a result of this broken main. So as we're moving forward, we're trying everything we can to mitigate anything we can to the residents. And you know, we're looking to do a repair. That's what our next major step is to do a full repair on the Arlington Interceptor sewer. We're going to be working on this to as quickly as possible. We're going to monitor, you know, the streams. We're going to be issuing notifications as needed and doing everything we can to help residents. We understand that this is difficult, and you know, we appreciate that, and we are certainly here with you as much as we can be. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Christy Sonkrant. She's going to be responsible for ensuring the repair happens, and she can give you a little more detail on timeline and what that repair will be.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. Good morning. Commissioner Sonkrant here. Wanted to update you on the latest timeline for our construction contract for Arlington. We've contracted with Kokosing for the emergency repair. They're ready to begin construction as soon as possible. Right now, there are some utilities that are in the way. We have gas and electric lines that need to be relocated. Columbia Gas has actually started working on the relocation. They are hoping to complete the work by June 27th. Once that work is completed, Kokosing will start on the cofferdam, which is where we will be inputting the sump pump to start pumping the water around, the sanitary water around. That work is expected to begin the week of July 7th. This is, of course, based on material mobilization and the completion of utility relocations. Once the bypass system is installed, we'll be able to significantly reduce the flow in that sewer, which should restore the system back to normal. We know that this has been very disruptive to the residents along Arlington, along with the residents where these overflows have occurred. We want you aware that we are working as quickly as possible to get this remedied for you. I will go ahead and pass this off to Commissioner Abid-Saman, who can talk about the sampling that we are going to be doing in the creeks.
Thank you, Christy. Good morning. Yesterday, our team at Environmental Services began testing the water quality in Delaware Creek, sampling at various locations along the creek for a variety of levels. It's our standard testing procedures. Specifically, we're looking so closely about any E. coli that might exist in the waterway and any other bacteria. Residents will be seeing, and maybe you saw our team yesterday wearing protective suits. We don't want the residents to be alarmed when they see them wearing protective suits. It's just standard precautions when we're dealing with such matters. We want to make sure that the staff is safe as much as we care about the residents as well. We want to make sure to test the water and get a full picture of what's going on. We are working with EPA on this, and we will be updating them on our findings. Now, the test results, we said we tested yesterday, we took samples. We will continue doing that periodically, but the results will not come back to us till later on this afternoon. And when the results become available, we will share them with everyone, including EPA. And certainly if we find any elevated levels of E. coli or any other bacteria, anything that is concerning to the health of our residents, we will work with the Toledo Lucas County Health Department. We will inform them. They have the authority, if the levels are of any concerns, to issue public health advisories if needed. So although that the tests are completed, we just want to emphasize that we do not have the results yet. But until then, we strongly recommend that our residents use precautions as well. As we did with our staff, wearing protective suits, what we'd like to recommend to the residents, strongly recommend that they avoid any contact with the water in or near the Delaware Creek, just to be on the safe side. And at this point, I would like to pass it back to Director Stevens to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
So, finishing up before questions, I just want to say, we appreciate, the difficulties that everyone's going through and the patience with us. This is a very complicated fix. We're going to have our crews do everything they can to mitigate efforts. If you have any basement backups, if residents have basement backups or, anything flowing into their home, please reach out and call Engage Toledo, and they'll reach out to Sewer and Drainage Services. We're also going to create a spot on the website, toledo.oh.gov /Arlington. It should be prominent on the website, where we'll be able to post updates from time to time. And I just want to say that as Christy's job is going to be pretty significant. I mean, like she said, there's work being done by Columbia Gas right now just so we can get there. To dig a large shaft 45 feet deep is going to take time, and it's a lot of effort. There'll be a lot of cleaning out of the sewer before they can even repair it. So this fix is going to be slow, and it's going to be done as fast as we can get it done, but it's just not work that can be completed quickly or easily. With that, we can take any questions anyone may have.
Commissioner, as a resident whose property is being polluted by the creek, I actually own waterfront property that the creek flows over. My question for you is, why weren't the residents notified? First of all, when this was occurring. Secondly, you stated you just started testing yesterday. Why weren't we testing at least 2 weeks ago when this problem occurred? Because down through Delaware Creek, there's a couple of overflow locations. Why weren't we testing 2 weeks ago? There was a barrel placed there by somebody from the city. So why aren't we testing, notifying the public, putting signs out along Delaware Creek where kids play, utilize the water, people fish, they feed their families. Nobody knows what's going on, and this has been going on for more than 2 weeks. That's unacceptable. We tested Maumee Bay for the same problem. Why are we not doing it here when we knew about it?
So when we originally found this problem, we notified the EPA. We have some processes we have to go through for notification. We did that. It was a localized problem really when it originally started over by Yaryan, and we did do some handouts to the neighbors about what was going on in that area. And then again, really, we're just getting a handle on this now. We just found a couple of days ago this third overflow that's causing some of the issue. We didn't know of its knowledge, but we knew we started getting odor complaints. So, and that really didn't happen until after that collapse. So when it was localized, we did try and communicate to the localized people who were being affected. And then we really had to do some investigation and try and locate, what was going on before we could get notification out to others, because we didn't have the data to tell. I wish we could have responded sooner. I wish we could have found that sooner, but this is backed up over such a large area that, finding where we're having the overflows occur and being able to report that has been difficult.
Just so we're clear, so in the creek, you don't want people touching the water in the Delaware Creek?
I mean, right now we haven't issued any advisories. Again, we're working with the health department on that when we get these results back. But I think as a precaution, if I would avoid going to the creek and touching the creek water. At this point, I think that's safe to say, but we don't have details on if there's E. coli in the water and what level that may be. But I would advise against it.
So is this just to the Delaware Creek or other watersheds? I mean, how far should people go to the point of not touching the water?
I mean, that has to be determined, but I would say from about this location as Delaware Creek flows to the river, it works its way over, behind south of Glendale and over towards the river. I would say from here forward, at a minimum, I would not be, going into the water in that area at this time until more information's available and we can make a recommendation on that. And then we also have some backup occurring on Arlington into Swan Creek. That's also being monitored. So, Swan Creek from about the hospital as you head east, once again, we don't have data that says anything is particularly over any limits or so forth, but we would recommend for now, until we get data back, until we can consult the health department, at least my recommendation would be, people to avoid being in that water.
So Swan Creek as well?
Yes.
Do you get the indication that the issues you're seeing in Delaware are seeping into the Swan Creek as well?
Well, there's two different lines that go from the break. So from where the collapse is, there's a line that goes to the west down Arlington, and then there's lines that come down south towards towards Delaware Creek. So both of those locations have an overflow. There's one overflow point on overflow point on Arlington, and there's 2 that we've found down here on Delaware Creek. So from those overflow points to the east towards the river are where we would say avoid. I mean, but as you get further away from the overflow point, things dilute and the water quality may be okay. But for now, until we have more data from environmental services and we consult the health department, I would just say as a precaution, people should avoid, getting in that water and making that contact.
Why did you decide to test? What led up to that decision?
Well, once we knew we had a large volume of water going in that was creating the smells, and we located where it was coming in, it wasn't a minor flow like we had seen before, a smaller flow. So as the flow increased after the collapse, we knew that we had to go in and start performing that testing. Prior, there wasn't the same level of incident that we're dealing with today.
Would you like to make any comment for the residents that live in this area that are having to live with that smell?
Other than, we apologize, we sympathize with it, and we'll do what we can to help, but unfortunately, until we're able to complete that repair of that collapsed sewer, there really won't be anything we can do to mitigate those issues.
You're scheduled to repair that on the 15th of June, right? That's what I was told.
No,
I had some. What?
there's been further work with the contractor, and there are issues we have to do where we have to get utilities moved out of the way. The pumps are on order.
Yeah, we got mail over about a month ago.
Yep.
Talking about they're waiting on a piece to fix that, and it would take 2 weeks for that piece to come in. So I feel like it's been 2 weeks. I talked to another guy over where I live at Yarrian, and he said that they were scheduled to fix it June 15th.
Yep, and no, they will still be working on the gas main to remove the gas main out of the way. At that point.
About the overflow of the water. We live right at the bottom, and it's all coming in our yard.
Yeah, it's not going to be that. So as we got more information after the initial release, the timing of getting the private utilities out of the way and being able to bring the large pump in. I mean, the large pump is going to be, 3 times the size of this tent, and it's big to set up. So it's going to take longer to get that in. So right now, as Christy had said, I think July 7th, the contractor will come in to start digging the 45-foot deep shaft and start to do some bypass pumping. But to get that shaft in and drain all that water flow, it's going to be 3 weeks to a month to get all that water
So we're
moved.
just gonna have the sewage water all in our yard. It's gonna go up to replace that.
Yep, and we can do if you want to talk to Calvin Harris, our Commissioner of Sewers, we can see what we can do to help mitigate some of the issues you're experiencing.
I can't even go the yard down there. I keep trying to call everybody, no one's coming to help. I keep talking to everybody, but they told me June 15th is when they were gonna fix it.
Yeah, no, and this will be a long fix. This fix will take, by the time they can dig down and get all the material out and then do the repair that needs to be done to return this sewer to normal, it's going to be around a half a year. It's a long fix, but when they get the bypass pumping going and we have the large pump in, these issues should alleviate. It's just going to be until we're able to get this shaft dug and get this large pump in that this odor and some of these backups are going to continue. But again, call Engage Toledo. I know Calvin will work with you directly. And we'll do everything we can to help, any of the residents in this area when they're having issues with things coming into the home or into the yard.
So it's going to be flowing over there at Yarrian for more than another month?
Yeah,
Based on-
like my kids, we have kids in the backyard, man.
There's kids that
It's
go through
literally
there.
overflowing into our backyard. We keep calling. They just rebuilt the road, so the overflow has nowhere to go. It doesn't go into the creek anymore. It comes
Right.
into our yard, nowhere but our yard. With the rain, it's just puddling up, has nowhere to go. Absolutely. We can get dirt in the yard or something, but something has got to be done immediately.
Yep, and we can.
Kids
We're,
ride bikes through there, people walk their pets through there, they're walking through sewer water there. I understand ODOT or whoever repaved Roar Avenue back through there has done that. That channel needs to be diverted out of their yard. I'm their neighbor, I know exactly what you're talking about, where it's at. It needs to be addressed. It's public sewer going right out into the open. And if people don't know it's sewer water, they're walking through it. People need to be notified of what they're walking through.
Yeah, and we will do that, and we'll look for ways. Again, we'll get the sewer department to go out there and look and work with residents to see what we can do to minimize those impacts.
Put some signs up that say this is sanitary and sewer water. Keep your kids out of it, so everybody knows. Not everybody gets all the notifications, but you need to let people know what's going on.
Yeah, and we can do that.
And just to back up a little bit, so is it still a belief that this all comes from the Arlington sinkhole?
Yes.
Okay. I know I was out there when it was cold and snowy. Was there anything that could have been done in the winter at the site there that could have prevented us from getting here today?
There's nothing we could have done differently. We immediately went out and started seeking bids. I think it was reported a while back we had a $21 million bid, which was out of the realm of reasonable in cost and for our ability to execute on. So we had to go back and do some additional research and refine. So I don't think there was a lot we could have done we couldn't have done anything different. And as far as speeding the process up, I don't know that there was a lot we could have done by more than a week or two even, because of the bidding situation that we ran across.
I guess what I asked is because when it was happening in the winter, was it directly affecting the sewer? Because we didn't have smell issues back then.
Well, it was still directly affecting the sewer. The issue is as the collapse grows, so a sinkhole is basically a hole in a pipe that continues to suck dirt in, until there's ultimately a massive collapse. We tried to put, stone in, things like that to mitigate, some of the dirt and soil sliding in to slow that and keep that hole from completely collapsing. But ultimately it still did. So, we may have delayed some of what you see now, but once the complete collapse happened a week ago, that was when we started to get the smell issues. So we were still flowing water through the partial collapse prior to about a week ago.
Was the pipe that was causing the sewer, or the pipe was causing the collapse, was that sewer or was that water?
It's sewer, but again, we get a lot of rain infiltration, and it's not like today when you see higher volumes of flow in some of the sewers. It's because rainwater has filtered its way into the sewer. It dilutes the sewer, but ultimately it's still sewer water.
What's the cost going to be like after this is all done?
I mean, the estimate's $8 million. I would assume that there's going to be a little more cost than that. It depends on what they find when they get there. Right now, we can't get into camera anything. We're making some good assumptions about what we think we're going to find, but we don't know for sure what we'll find when we get down there.
Has anything like this ever happened before? Does these major collapses that possibly are connected?
Yes, I mean there's been 2 times that I know of collapses. So in sometime around 01, 02, there was a collapse on Front Street at about 60 feet deep, and I can't remember exactly how long that took to repair, but that was months and months and months of excavation and then removing debris from the sewer. So that was the largest collapse I've known of until then. And then during one of our replacement projects, we were replacing a sanitary sewer on Jefferson in around 2010, 2012, where the brick sewer collapsed while we were doing the replacement, and we had to set up a significant amount of bypass pumping.
You also say to avoid the water to avoid health complications. What could those health complications be?
That I'm not sure of. I just know that we are discharging right now, especially during a heavier rain event. So we'll know more about that when we get the tests back, and we can actually get the health department to look at that and make advisories on what's been found.
Will a list of streets or a map be prepared that indicates where backups are likely to occur in the event that there's a major storm or flow incident?
There's something we could roughly put together, for what's going to happen with that. We know where the overflows are, so what I do want to do is when we get the site going is have a map that shows the overflow locations. It's a little complicated to say for sure where, but as we get basement flooding reports, we can use that to target areas that have had issues and let you know that. But because of the way the water flows throughout the system, it's a little hard to predict, but we can put that type of data up, and I think we can accommodate that.
wondering what additional specific actions you're going to be taking for residents besides telling them to avoid the water and not touch it.
I mean, you know, that I guess we'll have to wait on some of that and see when we get some of this data back and as we continue testing. If the E. coli or any of the dissolved oxygen tests come back and they show, you know, a level that's, you know, acceptable for people to have some contact with the water, health department and environmental services can notify that. But you know, in the meantime, you know, our sewer department is going to do what we can do to help residents who are facing backups or water in the lawns. We'll bypass pump what little capability we have to try and lower some of that. But really, you know, the long term is we have to get this large repair done.
If you're foreseeing high levels of E. coli, I mean, shouldn't the health department have steps ready to go so you can implement it? I mean, shouldn't you be proactive instead of reactive here?
Well, that's why we're saying now, you know, hey, don't get in the water. We're going to get those results, and then we can make better recommendations. And those recommendations will either come out late today or early tomorrow. We get test results back late this afternoon, so we are working towards getting that as soon as possible. But again, for now, I would say, you know, until we get those results, I would avoid contact with the water from Swan Creek, from about the hospital to the river, and from Delaware Creek, from about where we stand now to the river.
And do you foresee any impacts to wildlife and the environment as well?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we would expect that or not.
Are you
Let's
gonna,
assess that when we find out what we're dealing with.
Okay. Yeah, we can.
it'll be investigated?
Yeah, we can assess that. Yeah, again, when we find what we've got. Sorry, could you? Yes, simply because of rainfall. Rainfall is going to dictate how bad it gets. So the more rain, or if you get a high intensity rain for a short period of time, that could increase the amount of overflow.
And just so we're all clear on the same page, do we know, and maybe someone here will know, what day was the Arlington sinkhole reported to the city? Do we know what day that was?
I don't have that available. I mean, we could follow up on that.
Rachel, do we know what day the Arlington sinkhole was called into the city? What's that? Okay.
Did you say the full collapse happened on May 25th?
May 25th is when we detected the full collapse.
Man, I tell you, Doug, it's just standing here with the smell. I mean, it's just, and we don't live here, and you all do. Man, what can you tell residents, and what is the message to them as they every single day are going to be taking this in, and some of us just dropping in for a couple minutes, but for people that live here?
Yep. I mean, you know, again, I think the message is right now we're pushing the supplier that the contractor needs for the pumps and the materials we need to create the shaft, and we're pushing Columbia Gas and everybody to go as fast as possible to get in the hole and start making this repair. You know, we feel for the impact it's having, and we want to mitigate it as much as we can, but you know, we're just really looking to say, hey, we're going to do everything we can. We understand it's a bad situation, and we're trying to expedite the fix so you can get out of this situation as quick as we can.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy to follow up with anyone, any residents that are looking to stay informed. If I can take your contact information down.
You good?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for them.